everyone on the podcast. I am so excited. We are here live at BattleBots for the final day of taping, and we have so many amazing fans around. So if you haven't been to a BattleBots taping before, absolutely go. It is the best thing ever. And please keep watching the show for more builder interviews that are going to be coming very soon.
I'm ready to splash a bird. Jason and I were really good buddies from college.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. It's been a while. There were some things going on where, there was a bit of a delay there, but we're back with things. And today I am excited because this is my Superfan episode that I didn't necessarily plan in advance, but having gone to BattleBots Live and gotten to meet so many fans, I thought this would be a really cool thing to do. And I was originally going to have Mary Catherine, who many of you may know, on the show, but she suggested that I have Norma here because it was Norma's first time at BattleBots, as was mine, to kind of talk about that experience. So I think that that's really exciting. And of course, since this is the Superfan episode, we're not talking to just one person. We're talking to several people. So there's going to be a couple other interviews later in the show. But Norma, we've chatted a bit off and on for a while. So I'm so happy to have you on and get to talk about this thing that we both love.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of want to break things down for fans, in a few different aspects, similarly to the way that Mary Catherine had posted, about things to know about BattleBots. We may not get into that much detail because in a show format, it might not be all that exciting to talk about. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is the kind of the thought behind the ticket process and what tickets to buy, because as you know, they had a few different options this year, which were, of course, the general admission, the VIP, and the High Five Club. Now, there was kind of some question before the season whether the VIP was going to include any pit tours. It unfortunately didn't. And I think maybe some people went with those tickets in the hopes that it would, and it just didn't work out that way. But I know I did both VIP and general admission. You had the experience in the High Five Club, which I did not. So I would love to hear about that. And I think that a lot of fans would love to hear about that experience as well.
Yes, as you mentioned, it was my first time at BattleBots. I thought about going last year. Because of the pandemic, I decided not to. Last year, I heard they had this special ticket that included all the tickets, and so you got a special price and special things and swag bag and a lounge and pit tours. So I was hoping they had that this year again, and they didn't. So what I did was the first day they announced to supporters that tickets were available, I bought every ticket individually, which ended up being, more money and more complicated, but I did it and I was happy. Um, I did get a variety of VIP and general admission. My thinking was get VIP at night, thinking Vegas might be fuller sessions at night. And the only thing about the VIP this year was the earlier admission and a discount in snacks and merchandise that they had available. There were no pit tours, like you said. There was no swag bag. Um, they do let you sit in the best area in the arena, which is right in the center of the bleachers with the best view of the battle box. And this year they had a little padding on the bleachers for the VIP, which, it was almost like painted on, you know. But it did make a difference. I did notice a difference. That said, it doesn't mean that the VIP seats are the best necessarily. It depends on what you want to do. If you want to look at the fights, the best view of the fights, yeah, because you're right in the center. If you want to interact a little more with the teams, there's a section next to the VIP, which is the general admission, that is closer to the red square and the blue squares, where the teams stand and where they drive and when they come in. So if you want that experience instead of just looking at the battle box, it's better to get a general admission and sit in that area a little bit to a corner. Um, it depends. Sometimes, I mean, I was VIP. When I was VIP, I got in early, so sometimes I sat in the general admission area because I like that area, and apparently that was allowed, so I'm fine. um, After the supporters bought the tickets, someone mentioned in the group that there were these high five tickets available. They didn't tell the supporters this before they went on sale. So I was like, I really want to try that, but I already bought my tickets. What am I going to do? So I sent an email to everybody, like three different emails, the BattleBots tickets, the Caesars tickets, any email I could find. And I asked them, what do I do with my VIPs if I want to try this kind of ticket? And they said, well, you can buy the high fives and let us know which sessions you want to replace, and we'll reimburse you for those sessions. So I said, well, I'll try it 2 or 3 times just to see what it's about. So I exchanged 3 tickets and they refunded me the original tickets. And I think the high five section is the best value. It was like $15 or $18 before taxes, so they came up to less than $25 after taxes. Um, they're real seats compared to bleachers. Yes, you have an obstructed view because you are sitting behind the teams, so you can't really see the battle box and the fights, but they have screens. And you're right next to the tunnel, like you see in the shows. You get to hold your hand outside and try to high five the teams and all that. I was telling people, in my experience, seeing the show from the high five section, it's like being in BattleBots, the competition. And if you're sitting VIP in general admission, it's like being in BattleBots, the TV show. That to me was the difference. When you're in the high five, you're looking at the tunnel, who's coming out. You high five the teams. You're sitting behind them when they're driving. You feel like you're in the action, and Farouk is right there when he mentions everything, and it's a different experience than sitting in VIP and general admission. So you might want to do both and try them out. And this year, they were allowing some people that were sitting in the general admission section to go to the high five section for some fights and then come right back to your seat. That only happened when they saw that the high five section was a little bit sparse, to make it look full and things like that. But that was great for people because that way they got to experience both things. Um, I'm hoping that next year they go back to the package deal with all the tickets for all the sessions. I'm already thinking about going back that next year because I had so much fun in this one. It was my first time, but it was a great time. And yeah, I recommend it, watching it live. I won't say it's different. It's just good and great and fun, and it's a great experience.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think for me, in hindsight, if I had known, what that all was going to be like, I would have done all high five club. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
cheaper. I mean, you can still know what's going on because you have the screen. You don't necessarily get to see it in the box. So I mean, like that would be the only aspect that was kind of cool, and maybe to pick, you know, one or two sessions to get to see it maybe a little bit better. But for the most part, I mean, high five is to me the way to go if you want to feel like you're in there with the
Yeah,
teams.
and also for people who want to go just to make sure they get on TV. That's a great area to be because you're almost guaranteed to be on TV if you get a good angle when the teams come out. You know, the cameras are going to be on the teams and the people next to them. So if you want to be on camera on TV, definitely try a high five club.
Yes, and if you don't want to be on camera, probably don't do the high five club. So
Exactly. Yes.
but yeah, it was just it was neat. You know, I do feel bad for, you know, a lot of the fans that were hoping for the pit tours. But it's, you know, we're still kind of getting back in the groove of things. And, you know, I guess I can kind of understand from like the filming perspective why that would be difficult to do. I mean, I can tell you that, you know, I as press, I got to go in the pits, but I had to go through protocols to be able to be back there, and that would be difficult for like having a number of fans having to do that. So
Mhm.
yeah, hopefully that'll come back. That would be nice. It's kind of cool to see that stuff. But yeah,
I hope
so
so because I haven't been. I want to be. Yeah, I wanna see the pits. I've never been. Oh, that would be awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, so that was really cool. And you were there for the whole thing.
Yes.
You know, I came towards the tail end, so everything that I saw was in the later stages of the competition. But how was it for you to kind of see the progression of like the regular season, you know, qualifying type of stuff all the way through the finals, you know, obviously without talking about anything specific? Was that interesting to kind of see the lead up to all of that?
Okay. Well, I think they announced officially that they're doing 4 fights per team this year. Is that
Yes,
okay to say?
yes.
Okay. So I thought that was great having 4 fights per team because I know last year some people got 2, 3 fights only. Um. So yeah, from the beginning, first I was thinking I'm here for the whole 2 weeks of taping. Can I make it? Because I've been to like conventions, Star Wars Celebration is like 4 or 5 days, and I've done that. But this is 2 weeks, all day, 2 sessions, 2 4-hour sessions or three 3-hour sessions on Saturdays. The first days to me went slowly, and I was happy because I was like, it's like I'm living here, and I have to go to work every day watching the show. So that's great. Then after the first week, they started going quicker. Maybe after when the tournament started, I felt that way. And then I was like, oh my God, there's only a few days left. Then it's going to be over. And, you know, but I like that the tournament was, I mean, the fight nights were 4 per team, 4 fights. You really don't feel like a switch when the tournament starts. Um, I mean, they announce it. They're saying, okay, this is the final 32, and then the 16 is gonna be this day or tomorrow or something. Um, but you don't really feel a difference. I mean, I didn't personally. I'm sure the teams do. But yeah, I mean, it just went by easier than I thought. I survived. And at the end, I was ready for more, really. I was like, we had like 3 off days that they didn't film. And I was like, why are you? I wanna go to filming today. It, you get used to it, I guess, because, it's a lot of days. So you
Right.
have to, I mean, it would be, I know a lot of people can't do the whole 2 weeks because of, cost and time off and stuff like that. I decided to do the whole thing because I couldn't decide if I would do like the early part of the tournament or the end. Like, do I go early and then miss out on who won and wait until the TV show airs, or go to the end without knowing what happened at the beginning? So I said, no, this is Vegas. I'm going all in. I'm buying all the tickets. I'm going all the day. So that's what I did.
Yeah, yeah, and I would imagine for people that do split it, that it can be an interesting experience either one of those ways. I think, like, in my experience, not knowing what happened and then showing up and then hearing, okay, like, these are the teams that are still in and stuff like that, that it's more of a shock,
Hmm.
because like, you don't necessarily know, and it may not have played out in the way that you think that it is. But I think one thing that I wasn't prepared for is, I know, like, I already knew that when they shoot the show that, the production end of things is a little bit different than what you see on TV. There may be different takes of, like, a
Oh yeah.
recap, or different
Hmm.
takes of Farouk doing an introduction, but
Yes.
experiencing that was a little bit just odd for me, because I'm
Yeah.
used to
It's
seeing
confusing.
the way that it's shown on the show. So did that ever get, like, normal for you after 2 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah. Because after 2 weeks, you know what they're doing. There are a lot of people there that were just there for the day and they didn't know. So when they announced a fight, they got really excited without knowing that that fight already happened a few days ago. Sorry. They're just, doing some pickups and stuff like that, and re-recording things that didn't come out right the first time. But it was weird to see how they do it, but it's understandable. They have to do it, and it's never gonna be perfect, so they have to redo some things. They have to. But it was good. It was funny and good. Yeah.
Yeah. And something that I thought was really cool to me, because again, things that you don't necessarily see on the show, or are aware that these things happen, is the number of teams that came around, either in the arena or outside of the arena, meeting with fans, taking pictures with fans. It was
Hmm.
just every single day there were different teams, or sometimes some of the same teams out there. And I thought that was amazing. I mean, especially with the lack of the pit tours, it was a great way for people to get to meet teams that they really wanted to see.
Yes, I don't know how it was last year because I wasn't there, but I thought it was great. Maybe, like you said, instead of the pit tours, they decided to do something like that. Um, it was great. I mean, if I was more outgoing, I'm very introvert. I could have met a lot of teams. But I'm not like, oh, yeah, that there's someone there that I know, but I mean, and I was alone, so I'm like, who's gonna take a picture? And I don't know how to do selfies, and so I was like, oh, just looking or maybe taking a video and walking by. There was a team. I don't know if I can mention. I mean, they've mentioned in social media they are there. It's monsoon. Um, they were giving away these banners, and I was trying to get one, and we were messaging on Twitter, and they're like, "Oh, we'll be there early." Yeah, I mean, in the line giving out to people, and I'm like, "Well, I'm always there too early, and I missed you." So I would see them around outside meeting fans and like that, and but I never introduced myself to tell them, "Hey, it's me." And I wish I would have, because I know they're very nice and all that. And I would see them. I probably saw them like 3 or 4 times outside, and I never said hi to them. So I'm sorry, Monsoon.
Yes, Team Monsoon are some of the nicest people that you could meet in
Yeah,
BattleBots.
yeah, they look very nice, and they were very nice to me on Twitter. And I was able to get one of their keychains and a sticker. So yeah, I'm happy.
Yes, and I'm sure that you were very happy, because again, like, not a secret, Endgame, was in season 7, and obviously you are well known for being a very big Endgame fan. How exciting was it to meet Nick and Jack?
Oh, it was. the highlight of the trip. Definitely. I wasn't expecting to, because I had asked them and they said they were not meeting people because of COVID. So I was like, okay. But then they were like, I had ordered their jacket from their website store, and they mentioned, well, we have it here, we can give it to you here. And I was really confused, like, well, they didn't know I was coming. Why would they have it here? So I was like, okay, cool. And they're like, well, we'll send somebody to give it to you in your seat or something. So I was expecting that. And then someone came to get me in my seat and they're like, hey, they're waiting for you outside and they have your jacket and they want to meet you. And I'm like, what? So I just went there. I forgot my glasses. I forgot my book, my Battlebots guide. They could have signed it. It was just because I wasn't expecting. I wasn't ready. So I went outside and I met them and I met Endgame, which was, one of my bucket list items was to actually touch Endgame. So I did get to touch it, and they were all very nice, and it was great. It was better than I thought. Yeah.
That is very awesome. This, it just goes back to something that I always say, that BattleBots is such an amazing community, and that goes from top to bottom, all the way from the fans to the teams. The teams are just so like
Mm,
engaging with the fans and willing to go the extra mile. So that's great. I am glad that you had the opportunity to meet them.
yeah,
Um,
me too.
aside from that, and not, again, not talking about matches, were there any other highlights of your experience in BattleBots that you were just
Mm.
like, that was a really cool thing, or anything like that?
Well, getting some autographs in the hi-fi section was cool. Um, it's right next where the teams come out after the fight, so some people stand on the balcony and get the things out so they can sign. And I got quite a few. Um, I don't know if I can mention. Victor Soto was there after a fight, and I asked him for an autograph. And I don't know if he heard my accent or something, but he started speaking Spanish to me and asking me where I was from. So that was really unexpected. I mean, not really unexpected, but really surprising. And I thought that was so cool. Yeah. So, yeah, autographs and pictures. I didn't get too many. Like I said, I'm not that kind of person that jumps on people and yeah, nice to meet you. Maybe next year I'll be different and I'll be more brave and meet more teams. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, you're on a podcast right now, so if you can do this, then you can definitely do that.
Yes, teams. If you see me next year, please come to me. If I don't come to you,
Yes,
uh,
find Norma, or I will take you to Norma or something. Because I definitely plan to be back next year, now that I kind of know the ropes and know what's going on. I think that for
yeah.
me, the only thing that was sad is that, um just like your favorite team is Endgame, my favorite team is Minotaur.
Uh-huh.
And I did get to meet Marco totally unintentionally in the lobby, like wasn't planning
Okay.
on doing that at all, but it just kind of happened. But I really wanted to meet Daniel Freitas and take a picture with him, and I wasn't able to do that, so that has to be on my checklist for next year.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I saw him walking around when I was sitting in general admission. I could have gone down the stairs and tried to get a picture, but like I said, I'm not like that. Unfortunately, I need to learn. But
Yeah,
yeah, next year you're definitely you will be able to do that. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. And then the other thing that I was going to bring up too, because I think a lot of fans have questions about that, is the like the food situation at BattleBots. So I was only there for a few days, but I don't know how it was the whole 2 weeks. I know that at least 1 or 2 of the days I was there, they had a food truck outside, and there are like some snacks on the inside of the building, but they're not like food. What did you normally do
Yeah.
on a daily basis for lunch and dinner and things like that?
Well, usually I didn't eat anything and I didn't drink anything because I didn't want to miss anything by going to the bathroom. Saturdays were the worst because there were 3 sessions, 10 to 3, 4 to 7, 8 to 11. The first Saturday, there was only 1 hour between sessions. They're usually 2 hours. In 2 hours, you can probably go out, grab a bite, come back, do the line again. In 1 hour, there's no way I can do that. I'm a slow eater. I I take a long time to eat, and there was no way I can get out in an hour, eat, and come back and grab a good space in line to get a good seat. So I decided not to eat. Um, Even with the food truck outside, there were food trucks on the weekends, Saturday, Sunday, probably. I think there was one on a Friday or a Wednesday one day. Um, there were tacos, and then there was like jerk chicken. Um, That's the two I can remember. I don't know if there were more. They were good. Sometimes the lines were long and sometimes the service was slow. But if you catch them when they're empty, it was quick. Inside, yeah, there were only snacks, chips. I think there was like beef jerky and stuff like that. People said, soda, water, Gatorade. They did have these little bottles of Frappuccino that I had one day. However, it was not cold for some reason. Um, the VIPs got a discount on snacks and merchandise. They had a merchandise stand with limited stuff. Um, but the t-shirts had the logo on the arms for Vegas Live, so they were like exclusive, and that was okay. They were running out of some sizes the first week for t-shirts, but yeah, VIPs got a good discount. Like I think t-shirts for regular admission were like 35 and VIPs were like 25. So that was nice. Um, they do have restrooms inside and the food and the merchandise. The food trucks are outside. If you have time, there's places across the street you can grab a bite. The hotel I was staying at, they have a little food court and pizza and sandwiches. Um, Some people cross the street right there. I don't. I always go to the traffic light and because I wanted to see the end, I didn't want to miss the, the final trophy. So I'm like, no, I'm not dying today. I'm going across at the cross light. So I crossed the traffic light. So it would take me like 10 minutes to get there. But so you can grab a quick bite across the street or do like I did and not eat anything because you're running on adrenaline anyway and happiness and fun. And sometimes you forget to eat. You forget you're hungry, you forget you're thirsty. No, I don't recommend not drinking, not to go to the bathroom because as you can hear, my voice still not back to normal. Um, the dry air of Vegas will affect you, especially me because I live in DC and I'm used to this swampy, humid air in DC, and I'm originally from Puerto Rico, so even more humid air. I'm not used to this desert air, dry thing anyway. So keep hydrated because you're gonna need it. And if you need to eat, eat. Um, if you were someone, have someone save you a spot in line, save you a seat while you eat. I couldn't do that until the end. Mary helped me with some of that because she knew I wasn't eating, so she got me some food when I couldn't, and helped me save a seat when I needed to. So thank you, Mary, for that. So yeah, I mean they have limited stuff, but at least the food trucks helped. It would be great if there was one every day, but I guess it might not be feasible for them because weekdays are not that crowded and stuff like that. But you won't go hungry. There's always something to eat.
Yeah, there definitely is. Although, like you mentioned, if you're going to multiple sessions, there was only one day that I did that, and I realized that because of the time between sessions, you really have to decide what your priorities are if you would like to eat
Mm,
or if you would like to meet teams and get autographs, because it is
yeah,
very difficult to squeeze in the time for both.
yeah.
So that's kind of where that comes into play. But yeah, you have to kind of judge your time. I mean, if you're only going to one session in the day, that's pretty easy. You go to your session, you can meet the people that are outside, and then you can leave and go about your day. But if you're doing more than one, then it can be a little bit tricky.
Hmm.
Um, and then even for like, where you stay, I know that, you were right across the street, so you were pretty close. I had stayed at the Virgin Hotel, which honestly, it's a 20-minute walk. So I mean, if you're a
Okay.
person who's looking to go to BattleBots and you can walk for 20 minutes, it wasn't a horrible walk. I think
Hmm.
that the first day, the only reason why it was so bad is because we literally walked everywhere. So by the end of the day, my legs felt like rubber, and I was like,
Mm.
I am not doing that again. um, so yeah, you kind of have to judge. I mean, everything in Vegas is surprisingly close. Um, I didn't like, I thought it would be further to walk to a lot of places, but everything was
Mm.
in pretty close proximity to each other. So, you really have to decide whether you want to devote all of your time to BattleBots or if there's
Mm.
other things that you want to do, and budget that out appropriately, because I mean there is a lot to do, but it just depends on what your end goals are when you're taking a trip there.
Yeah, now that I mentioned that I tried to do other things besides BattleBots, and that was a mistake. I I I bought tickets for Duran Duran on the 30th, which was the same time as the last session. And I thought, yeah, I'll go to the show. Duran Duran is my favorite band, and they're inducted to the Hall of Fame this year, and fine. And I got two tickets because I said, well, maybe I'll find someone to come with me to the concert. Big mistake. Um, I went to the session thinking, since the concert started at 8, the session started at 6. I was like, I'll go to the session for 1 hour and then I'll go to the concert. It's nearby and a hotel nearby. But that last session got very good. So I decided to stay. Like, okay, I came for BattleBots, I'll stay for BattleBots. Ticketmaster didn't let me sell the tickets anyway or transfer them, so I lost them. So I learned for next year, if you're going for BattleBots, just do BattleBots.
Just concentrate all of your efforts there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was just it was a really great experience. I think that every like true fan of BattleBots that doesn't just like watch it in passing, that keeps up with it and everything, should do it at least once.
Yes.
Just to kind of see what things are from that side, because it really just, that there's so much that you don't see on TV. And I will be very interested in January when it airs to see it from that perspective and like compare and contrast the two. So, pretty excited to see when that comes out. And then I think like the last thing that I wanted to add is that, we obviously know that there were a lot of new rules and different things introduced this year, like um, the challenges that people can do now, and having like an additional referee and like the match steward and like all of these things. And obviously we're not going to comment on whether any of that came into play or like how it came into play, but what did you think about all of those changes and like seeing that from a live perspective?
I think most or all of the changes, the rule changes, were for the better. Um, I think it helps the teams, and that will help also the viewers because it will create less frustration on some of the fights. Since everything seems to be clearer now, no room for error, or at least I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason for a lot of what a lot of those changes were. I mean, I just, if I'm watching robots fight, I just want to see them fight. I don't want these like, interruptions or sit, try and say, are they crab walking? Are they not crab? Like, those types of things. I think it hurts the match, and I was glad to see that that all changed for this year. But yeah, it was definitely an exciting time. I hope that they continue looking at things and improving. Obviously we still saw the upper deck shelf thing was there this year. Who knows if that's gonna continue in the future? But it just keeps changing from year to year, and hopefully it's just gonna keep getting better and better, in my view.
Yes, because the teams will have to adapt to it if it's staying. Yeah,
Yep.
eventually.
And
The
just
strategy, either the strategy has to change or the actual robots have to change to
Mhm.
adapt to it.
Absolutely. Well, I am so thankful to you, Norma, for coming on the show and getting to talk about this experience that we both got to have this year. And we'll continue on with this Superfan show because we have a little interview to come and then a longer interview with a very well-known BattleBots fan that I'm sure people have seen in photos in the forums. So super excited for it. And again, thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me. Has been great, and I'm glad to talk about it. And my first time there, and my first time BattleBots, my first time in Vegas too. So hopefully we'll actually get to meet next year because I missed you this time.
I hope so. I hope so. So yeah, we'll definitely have to plan for that. Hey everyone, this is Christine with Outside of the Box podcast, and I am here with Maddie and Laura, fans of BattleBots, getting ready to get in for a session of filming. Are you guys super excited to be here?
Absolutely. Yeah. We've been following BattleBots for years now. So.
Is this your first time here?
Yeah.
What teams are you hoping to see today?
A big fan of Ribbot.
We love Ribbot. We are a big Ribbot family.
Yeah.
We are constantly cheering for them, and we're so happy. Yeah. We're hoping to see them today.
Yeah.
Well, we love David Jin and Team Ribbot on this podcast. They have been on the show before, so shout out to Ribbot. But yeah, so this is the last day of filming. Very exciting, and everybody keep watching the show for more BattleBots interviews. Welcome back here on Outside of the Box, as we're here for our final Superfan segment today on the show. And if you've been around the forums, you may recognize this gentleman that is with me for this interview, Jack Reed, who is a Team Orby superfan. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Yes, absolutely. As I had mentioned previously, I feel like I always see you in this type of getup. Me today, since I'm just sitting lounging around watching the NHRL feed today, I look like I need just a cigar and a glass of scotch in my hand, and I'm going to talk about like murder mysteries or something today. That's what it looks like.
Oh no, you're fine.
So
It's all
yeah,
good, no worries.
I'm excited to talk to you about the BattleBots experience. Now, was this your first time at BattleBots?
Yes, it was. And right off the bat, it is the most fun I've had in years. Like, it was just phenomenal being there. Even though I was only there for the first couple of days, next year, I definitely plan on being there for the whole thing.
It's hard not to be. It really is. And I think that it's kind of neat, with this show that we have, some different perspectives because, well, I told this to Norma and I told this to you too, but like you were there for the very beginning, like the first couple of days. I was there for the last couple of days, and then Norma was there for the whole thing. So, we all had a very different experience, I would say. But I think we all agree that it was a blast and, definitely plan to be back next year.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
So I'm curious, like, obviously knowing that unfortunately Blade was not going to be in BattleBots this year, I know that you're a huge fan. What made you decide to go anyways, and of course, represent with the Blade swag?
So, Orby to me is they're a they're a very special team to me because originally, as some of us may know, they were on King of Bots in China, and they were really sort of the main bot that really stood out to me the most out of all of them because I love the design. It is a gorgeous machine. Just the neon yellow color, the shape of it, just the fact that it's a horizontal spinner, which is my favorite weapon type. It was just beautiful to look at. So when I found out that it was going to be at BattleBots for season 6, I could not wait to see it. So it was very, very exciting seeing it at the battle box and a little surreal in a way. So when I found out that, we're not going to be there for season 7, I was understandably very bummed out. But I decided to have all this apparel custom made, and let me get my sign here that I brought because I also brought a sign for the occasion too. This bad boy right here. This is a this is a 20 by 20 inch paint canvas that I spent an entire summer day going in and out of a stupidly hot, humid garage working on. And I'm not an artist by any means, but I'm pretty happy with how it came out. So I decided, despite the fact that they weren't going to be there, to bring that to BattleBots and represent them in spirit of them.
Yeah, I can definitely understand. I mean, if certain teams that I really like weren't going to be at BattleBots, I probably would still wear the shirts and everything else because they're my favorites. So, and obviously with the get up, it sounds like you made a big impact with people at BattleBots seeing you and things like that. It seemed to be very popular.
Yes, I had people ask me if I was actually part of the team. And I was like, unfortunately, I'm not, but I do have a connection with Chong Yu on Facebook, but that's the extent of it. And speaking of Chong Yu, he was so thrilled and excited to see me representing his team at BattleBots this year. He was really bummed about the fact that he couldn't make it. So I decided to sort of lift his spirits up a little bit and represent his team there. And he was very happy that I did. He even gave me a special shout out on the Team Orby Facebook page too. And at first it was kind of funny because he was a little bewildered at first because he doesn't have a merch shop. He's never sold a shirt or a hat or a mask or anything. He was a bit confused at first, but he was still very excited about it. And when I saw that they actually shared this outfit on their Facebook page, I was so excited to see myself on there.
I bet. And I mean, this goes back to, what I've observed is that BattleBots competitors have such a close relationship with their fans. Like the fans are so great and the teams are so great and everything kind of meshes together to create this wonderful community that we have. And so I think that that's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. Same here. That's actually one of the main reasons why I enjoy this sport as much as I do, is how much interaction there is with the builders and teams and the fans. And it's so great. It really does feel like one big giant, as funnily enough as Ray Billings puts it, sort of a dysfunctional family reunion, if you will. Every year, once a year, everybody shows up and they all break each other's toys. And that's always really fun. But one of the best things about it is everybody just loves to help each other out. That, in my opinion, is one of the best things about it. Like Ray, for example, he'll actually lend his own parts to other teams, and then he'll fight that team, and he'll end up breaking his own parts in the process. All in just the name of helping out. And it's just, I can't stress enough. It's just such a wonderful thing. And I'm so happy and excited to feel like I'm a part of that. And I never really feel like I had that feeling before at any point in my life. So it's very rare for me to say that I feel like I've found my people, if you will, and genuinely mean it. But I feel like I absolutely have here. And it's just such a wonderful feeling. It's just, it means everything to me.
I bet. And I think a lot of fans feel the same way. Now, you were only there for a couple of days, but aside from, obviously we can't talk about any of the matches, but aside from that part of it, what was your favorite part of the experience of being at BattleBots?
Well, obviously, aside from everything, because that would be my first answer. Everything. Part of it was getting to see some of the bots up close while I was at the tunnel high five section, which, by the way, you'll see me there for some of the fights when it airs next year. It really is crazy big these bots are compared to how they are on TV, because they look smaller on TV. But then you actually go there in person, and it is a whole different beast seeing these machines in person. Like the sparks they produce, the energy they give off with each and every hit, it's absolutely wild.
Yeah, and you make a good point about the size difference, because you're right. Like I mean, obviously that they're big robots. I mean, they're 250 pounds, but it's hard to really conceive the scale of them unless you're right next to them. And I mean, I even held one of the Doomba team's smaller robots, and that was just one of the smaller ones. That wasn't the big version of it, and it was still like heavy. So yeah, it's just amazing how the size of them in person.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of Doomba, after one of the filming sessions I went to, I got to chat with the Doomba team quite a bit, and they were all so great. And I was quite happy and excited to see Philippe Boyer from Part of My French the season before. I was really excited to see him on the Doomba team, and him and I we talked for quite a bit, and we just really hit it off. I mean, just generally speaking, I really hit it off with everybody there. It's almost like everybody I talked to there, it's almost like we knew each other from somewhere else before. And that was another one of my favorite things about my time at the event, was just how amazing everybody was there. Like I just immediately got along with pretty much everybody I talked to there.
Was there anyone in particular as far as builders and teams? I mean, I know like only in a couple of days, it's hard. I mean, even though a lot of them do come out after the things and meet fans and stuff, but was there anybody that you got to meet that you were just really excited about?
Yes, actually. A few teams that I got to meet. I got to meet Team Shreddit, led by Evan Arias, who we know has a Shreddit Bro at NHRL. And him and his team, they're so great. They were just so amazing to hang out with at the arena after one of my sessions. And I got pictures at the entrance of the tunnel and in front of the arena with Evan. And I've actually posted some of those online if anybody here hasn't already seen them. And he told me, just anytime, just hit me up for any tips, advice, anything you may have. And it's just such an amazing, welcoming feeling. And then after the final filming session I went to, I got to talk with Zach Lytle from Scorpios, who is really good friends with Chongyu from Orbi. So both him and his wife Diana, they were just so excited and happy to see me representing their friends there. And at one point, I actually got one of the new Scorpios jerseys from Zach, and that was really exciting. So I think what I'm going to do with that is I honestly might not even wear it. I might just frame it, put it up on my wall. Because the whole wall next to my bed, I'm just going to deck it out in BattleBots stuff like signed pictures, memorabilia, all that good stuff. So me and Zach, we were talking for quite a bit after session, and he had some pretty funny stories to tell. Like, he was talking about his first fight with Bloodsport. He was talking about how Rusty got on for season 5. He gave me some great advice on how to get started with the sport. And he was just him and Rob, who's also from Scorpios, who actually does all the building. They were just so great to talk to.
I bet. I have a lot of love for Team Scorpios. I know Diana has told me that she watches every episode of the podcast. So hi, Diana.
Hey.
They are a great team. And I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was a little bit surprised that there were just so many builders out, around the fans, not because I wouldn't think that they wouldn't want to do that, but I figured, that they are probably pretty busy. But that they take that time to go out and meet the fans and, take pictures and things like that. I mean, that's just a really great thing. And part of why, I would recommend anybody to go to at least one BattleBots like live, take a day, even if it's just one day, and go and see it, because it's just a really cool way to interact with the people of BattleBots.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. And another one of my favorite team members that I got to speak to at the event was none other than Will Bales from Hypershock. He was amazing. His personality is just, I love it so much. He was so great to talk to. We shared a few pretty good laughs about a lot of things, some of which I cannot say right now, but he was amazing. And he pulled out of his pocket a little decal that looks like one of Hypershock's tires, and he actually signed it and gave it to me, which was great. So he was awesome.
That is very awesome. I actually have my own little funny Will Bales story, because, obviously I've been doing this show for a while and I've interviewed a lot of teams, but I've never had Hypershock on yet. So, in my mind, I didn't even know that Will Bales knew who I was. And I walked up to him outside to introduce myself, and he was like, "Hi, Christine." And my face was probably very similar to one of the Will Bales memes where he looks surprised, because I was just like, oh, okay. Like, so, safe to say, I think we all had some pretty jaw-dropping experiences at BattleBots.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I had a lot myself, to say the least. I mean, from the moment I walked into the arena, I was just, boom, I was immediately excited. I was like, oh my God, is this real? Like, is this actually happening? Is any of this real? Are you real? Like, it was just phenomenal being there in person. I cannot stress that enough. It was just amazing seeing everything there, just seeing the arena, all the tunnel, all the bots. It was just, oh my God, it's so great.
Well, and like, and when you're there, the first time that Farouk actually comes out and announces a match, I think, like, for me, that was a very surreal experience.
Oh, yes, for sure. Hearing Farouk actually do his thing in person, that's something else. Like, he just has such a powerful commanding voice. Like the moment he speaks, he immediately has your attention. It is just amazing. And for my high five sessions on the second day, I was on the side where his podium is. So he was right there doing his intros, and it was just phenomenal seeing him do his thing right there.
Yes, and I will tell you, he's just such an amazing guy. I did have the chance to meet him, and he was just the nicest person ever. So you know, for anybody who hasn't got a chance to meet Farouk, he's just as nice as you think that he is.
That's awesome. I didn't get to meet him myself, but I've heard and seen amazing things about him. And even though I didn't get to personally talk to him or anything, I did see him interacting with other fans and taking pictures with some of the kids there, and it was just so great to see.
Yeah, I mean, everybody seemed really willing to do things like that, you know, unless they were obviously right in the middle of something, or in a situation where they just couldn't. But, you know, like that's the whole thing. Everybody's really like open and there for the fans and stuff like that. And I mean, I just thought that it was an overall great experience. Now I did want to talk to you a little bit about the high five seats. I did talk to Norma about this as well, but that was something that when the tickets initially came out was not an option. So when it did come out, I was curious. I was like, oh, what are these? You know, and trying to figure out, okay, like they're $15, but you know, how good of seats are these? But it turns out they're pretty good.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the funny
what was your experience in them?
So the funny thing is, for all of my sessions, I got VIP tickets, and I was only in the VIP section for one session, and that was my first. So I got there way too late the second time, so I ended up in general admission. However, before I got in, we were asked if we would like to volunteer to be in the High Five Club, and we said, not this time, but thanks. But I remembered that the next day, and I was like, you know what? I think for my other two sessions, I'm going to volunteer to do a high five. And I am so glad I did. It was just such a fun experience. Granted, you don't get as good of a view as the fights as you do in the bleachers, but the experience you get with the builders and teams is just it's so great. Like I got quite a few high fives and handshakes, and even a couple thumbs up from some pretty notable names, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be awesome. And, you know, obviously, if you're in that section, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be on TV. So if that is something that you want when you go to BattleBots, then you probably want to sit there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, not like I mean, it's pretty obvious that well, actually, I don't want to jinx it. I'll say it's likely you'll probably see me on the air. I mean, even in some of the overhead shots, I stick out like a sore thumb and all this neon yellow and the big old sign I have. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. We've got a couple of months for sure. So that ought to be interesting. You know, I'm sure like you will be really curious to see how everything plays out, and I will be very curious to see everything that leads up to the tournament, because we each missed like the opposite ends of the thing. So yeah, it should be interesting. But I highly recommend, if you are a fan of BattleBots, if you watch it every year, if you look forward to it every year, go to BattleBots Live. Like you have to do it. It is awesome.
Absolutely. I second that. Like I said, most fun I've had in years.
Yes.
And I absolutely plan on doing it again, and for much, much longer.
It can be a little bit addictive. That I will say that. But yeah. So one thing that I wanted to make sure that I announced before this show is done, is that I don't think this would be a super fan show if I wasn't giving something away to a super fan. So what I have here is I have an official Outside of the Box podcast t-shirt, and there's some signatures on here from some teams. So if you want to win this shirt, please make sure that you check my post and follow these instructions. When I do post about the contest, make sure that you comment, and in that comment that you would include your favorite episode of the podcast, and also comment or tag a team that you would like to see on the show that has not been on the show before, as I plan to do a lot more in 2023. So many exciting things coming up. But Jack, I so appreciate you coming on the show to talk about your BattleBots experience, because it certainly was exciting. And I will look forward to next year for certain.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on here. It was a blast getting to talk about some of that again and to relive some of it, as I haven't done that enough times with friends and family already, but I don't mind doing it again.
Yes, absolutely. So, for everyone that's watching, please make sure that you like, subscribe, all of those things, and let me know what you want to see, and we'll continue the BattleBots and Norwalk content. And yes, make sure that you watch the December Norwalk event, because it's going to be awesome. So I'm just going to leave that in there too. But I will see you all next time on the show.